to go back to Bjorn on this because, Bjorn, there is another case that we may end up hearing about throughout the course of this trial. But the statement from the family kind of goes to the question of if he was so under the influence that he was having an overdose, why didn't the cops, just call for help and send him out in an ambulance right away instead of trying to force him into a squad car? Could that work against the defense? How does that work from a legal standpoint?
Well, I mean, that's the big problem. When you watch the video and there's absolutely no response from law enforcement as it relates to the struggles that Mr. Floyd is experiencing at the time. I would think that law enforcement should be trained in evaluating when do we stop, when do we realize that this is a $20 bill that may or may not be real, and balancing that against someone who's clearly struggling. So it's a problem. It's a huge problem, and so the question, I guess, is depending on what the experts say. Maybe he's not guilty of the most serious crime, but certainly I think the manslaughter charge is going to be very difficult to overcome.
And so let me ask you this. If you feel that the defense adequately establishes that there is reasonable doubt that perhaps George Floyd actually died of a drug overdose, could Derek Chauvin still be found guilty of manslaughter?
I believe he probably could, because had he paid attention and had they done what they're supposed to do, and immediately given him the first aid that he needed, then maybe he'd still be alive today. So I think certainly that's a possibility, even if the cause of death is not directly attributed. I think certainly it's partially going to be attributed to him.